I'm here talking with Dmitry Shapiro, who is CEO and co-founder of Koji. It has a really interesting background and is working on some interesting stuff. So just to get started, can you kind of, so Dmitry, can you kind of talk about your past experience and how it led you to founding Koji?
Yeah, so in 1984, I went to the movie theater with my dad. I was 14 years old, and we saw the movie War Games with Matthew Broderick. And I left that movie theater saying, oh my God, I need a computer. And so got into computers right after that movie. And even though my degree is in electrical engineering, I've never done a day of that. I've always done software. And so worked on sort of a bunch of different things in the past. I built Fujitsu's web team from 95 to 99. And then I founded a company called Aconics, which was a cybersecurity company, raised $34 million for that and built that up over 5 years, ended up selling that. And then founded another company called VO Networks, which was one of the major competitors to YouTube from CTO of MySpace Music. And then I went to Google and spent 4.25 years at Google working on social products and some other products in identity. And then left in 2016 to co-found what's now known as Koji. We're just kind of out of a long beta coming out and taking this thing to market, and sort of really excited about what we've built and are about to unleash on folks.
And can you kind of explain a little bit about what Koji is? It looks like it helps people build stuff. Is that a fair description, or what? Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, that's a great description. That's actually a perfect description. That's somewhat ambiguous, though. It's right. But more specifically, it's focused on this thing that today we live in a world where we love social media. We spend the vast majority of our time inside of just a few apps on our phone, social media apps. And so the average user now uses multiple networks, right? And what Koji does is it provides something called a link in bio. Think of it as like a personal homepage that lives on the internet. And from that personal homepage, you can customize it, put links to all of your other services that you use, and from those services, link back to that global sort of canonical personal homepage of yours, right? The link in bio. And Koji not only provides that, but also provides an app store of what we call add-ons. Think of them as like modules that you can add to your profile. There's hundreds of them already, soon there'll be thousands of them because they're created by both our developers and independent developers. It's like an app store for these little modules. And they're there to sort of supercharge your profile with all kinds of features. Like one of the most popular ones, people are adding a tip jar. And so people visiting your link in bio can just express themselves and say thank you. And so it allows you to put a dollar amount and a message. And the most important part of it, of course, is the message. You can think of the dollar amount as sort of being like a volume knob for the message. Mm-hmm. And so it's amazing when you allow people to do that. People express themselves in that way and tell you like, thank you for letting me express myself in that way, because before you had this capability, I had no way of telling you how valuable your work has been to me. It's changed my life, perhaps. Right? That little thing that might seem like a tip jar is so much more than that. It's a new form of digital interaction. Then there are other forms that allow you to, sell premium images or videos, kind of like OnlyFans, or fulfill custom video requests, kind of like Cameo. These are big companies in the creator economy, fashion economy space. Or sell ebooks or other types of sort of file bundles, fonts, whatever, kind of like Gumroad. And so to us, all of these things that are sort of creator economy 1.0 companies in creator economy 2.0, which is what we're pointing at, sort of a refactor of creator economy. These are just modules that live on my profile, on everybody's profile. And people showing up there just have all those features available to them. Nothing to install, no new networks to join, no need for me as a creator to tell my fans right now, hey, I know you like my content on Instagram, but because I want to offer some premium images or videos, I now have to ask you to go download another app, create an account, put in your credit card, follow me there, because that's where I'm going to be posting some other stuff. That's crazy. This says you don't need to do any of that. Engage with your fans in brand new ways, in sort of multi-dimensions. I hope that made some sense.
I think so. So it's kind of like a sort of interface, or it makes you can just add stuff, or maybe a button or something like that, and then people can. You don't have to tell people about it. It's there for them, and they can see it, right? Like on the profile.
Yeah. Another way of looking at it is, so apps have changed our lives, right? We get the launcher, the home screen, right? And onto it, we choose from the App Store what apps we want to add to our own interface facing us. You can think of Koji as doing the same thing, but facing outwards, where your link in bio, your personal homepage, is like a launcher onto which you put various apps, these modules, not for you to use, but for other people to use to engage with you. And those might be for just messaging, or they might be transactional, or they might be multimedia, meaning there's already hundreds of them. You can just go to our website, koji.to, Koji.to, and you can see all these modules. There are new ones being added weekly. Soon there'll be multiple ones added per day. We've got over a dozen of them in queue that are waiting for release because we don't have time to release them yet. So
cool.
Lots of innovation on what you can do in your link in bio across all the networks, including make money. And indeed, there are people that are making, not yet millions or hundreds of thousands of dollars, but there are people that are making thousands of dollars a week using Kojis on their link in bio.
Wow. So yeah, tell me where people are using this. You said LinkedIn. I know Clubhouse with the tip jar. Mm-hmm. Where people use this?
Because it's just a link. People use it in every network, certainly every social network. People use this as in their signature, in their email, right? Mm-hmm. And they'll sign it, and they'll be like, "Here's a link to my link in bio, to my global homepage. That's where you can interact with me. That's the canonical me." And from there, you can find all the other me's, right? And so you see these things sort of show up everywhere. I've seen people print little business cards with like little QR codes. You can just scan it, and that's their link in bio. Because they're just links, you can give them a QR code, or you can send them via email or messaging. You can put them in link in bios for all the social networks. And yeah, they're certainly all represented already. There's a lot of TikTokers, for example, that are a whole cluster of them, sort of our fastest growing cluster, that are using, monetizing on TikTok, using Kojis in their link in bio.
Are there competitors that you have who do similar stuff yet, or is this still your space?
Well, no, we're a new entrant to the space. There's over 50 link in bio companies out there that allow you to create this little sort of customized homepage. We came out of nowhere, meaning we sort of took the long route to get here because we built an entire app store and all this other infrastructure. And then we said, what could we use this for that would be valuable? And it was clear to us as we started talking to people that what they wanted to do with these things is put them on their link in bio. And so just in the last month, have we created a link in bio offering that sort of jumped into the spray of over 50 companies. But nobody has this app store, these modules. Those are all ours. By the way, there are people because again, Kojis are just links. These modules are just links. People sometimes add them to Linktree or other link in bios. And we don't care. That's great. You can take these things, put them on our link in bio that's made available free of charge. It's got all kinds of really powerful customization features that others don't yet have, at least. And we offer it completely free, while the others charge for it sort of on a monthly basis for this kind of stuff. But we don't care if you use ours or not. These things are portable. They can be used on other services. We see sort of entire link trees where every link is a Koji.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
So maybe this isn't exactly something that's really your expertise, but what is it that motivates people to tip, from what you can tell, on platforms like Clubhouse or LinkedIn or TikTok?
It's a great question. I actually will claim that it is my expertise. And I'll tell you why. When I was 40 years old, I'm 51 now. When I was 40 years old, I went to Burning Man, to my first Burning Man. And while I knew about it for a dozen years prior, it was not my thing until I went one year and realized it is my thing, and have been every year since. My 3 kids were all planned around Burning Man so that my wife would have a belly at the burn. And so they've all been there since in utero, the kids, okay? And I learned so many things at Burning Man, but certainly one of the most profound things is what we're talking about here, is why would somebody give somebody a gift? Out of the blue, somebody potentially they know or they don't know, like, why would you give a gift, right? We tend to think of gifts, or we tend to think of sort of relationships between each other as being friendly or transactional, but we feel weird if somebody just gives us something. We say, oh, I don't have anything to give you in return, kind of in this barter scenario, right? We've all been taught in the Western world, certainly, to feel that way, that you don't get anything for free. If somebody's trying to give you something, that means they want something back, right? And so I think we've sort of been tainted in that way. And Burning Man opened my eyes to that's not the case at all. We should think of gifting in its real form, kind of like when we give gifts to children at Christmas time. We're not giving gifts to them, expecting them to give us something back of equal value, right? We give gifts to them. Why? Because of obligation? No, probably not. We give gifts to them because of the reaction we get back. The reaction we get back, the gratitude. And that makes us feel amazing. So much more amazing than the price we paid for getting the gift, to light somebody up, to surprise somebody, to be kind. That, human nature, is what is driving tipping on TikTok and Instagram and everywhere else. There's no magic. It's nothing to do with Koji. It is simply a function that when you allow that self-expression to happen, when you give people that interface, that's when they can express themselves. If you don't give them an interface digitally, they have no way of expressing themselves. And at Burning Man, one of the most wonderful things is we all show up feeling like children. And so when people come to us and give us gifts, we don't fumble around saying, I don't have anything to give you. We give them back what they want. Is our gratitude and our pop that happened. That's what it's about. Just human nature.
Wow. But there are people who are making a living doing this, right? Who are, yeah, that is interesting. So you're saying that they're making a living off of basically people just being kind and just giving them some... Of
people expressing themselves to them, yes. So kindness is a part of it, of course. But mostly these are fans of theirs. You know, people, like if you're a content creator, you presumably aren't just creating it for no reason. You've got some perspective. You're trying to give something back to people. So how I sort of typically say it, why you produce content is to give something to people. And people see that. And some people see that and say, oh my God, this was so valuable. This was so valuable because of something that it said or because of the right timing or whatever it was. But it touched me. It impacted me in some way. And sometimes that impact is profound. It changed my career. It let me get a better job. It changed my relationship with my spouse. It made me want to have children. That's amazing. And so when you create the interface for people to then be able to say, hey, that stuff you do, I need to give something to you. I must. Without me doing it, I feel frustrated that I haven't been able to express myself in that way. That is what these seemingly simple tip jars, which I think, by the way, it's a whole other thing. I don't think that's the right name for this thing. But this new interface is providing to people. And we get messages of, creators saying, oh my God, these things are making me cry. Like the messages that are coming in. Forget the money. I haven't taken any of the money out of my digital wallet. But these messages that are coming at me from people saying how my work has what it's meant to them. That's priceless. They're right. It's not about the money. It's about creating digital interfaces for humans to interact with each other. We're doing this more and more, being sort of behind screens, but it doesn't mean that it has to be flat. There's a tremendous amount of innovation that can happen in giving us new ways to, connect, especially emotionally connect. And money actually has an interesting ability to do that. Because if somebody just says something nice, they type, say, I love your content, and a comment. That's wonderful, that's great. But if somebody types the exact same thing, probably typically they add to that, and also gives you $100 to go along with it, for some reason that feels much more real for us to believe that they really mean it. And it's also really important for them to make sure that we understand that they really mean it. How many exclamation points can you put behind a comment to express to somebody that was awesome? What gift could you choose? Nothing that can do what $100 can do.
What's interesting is, as you were describing that, my first reaction is, it seems strange that people would, tip someone just for talking on Clubhouse or doing something on LinkedIn. But then you think to the ways people market themselves by writing books or something like that, and it's certainly nobody thinks anything of showing support by buying someone's book. Is that kind of a similar a similar model in a sense?
Yes, especially if you take that and look at how people sometimes sell books of pay what you want, which is you can have this book completely free of charge. And if you want, you can also pay for it. I suspect you've seen these kinds of models out there. That is even more similar. If you're just selling a book and you say, I need your money to give you this book, that's sort of just regular barter. But if I'm saying, no, you can have this book free of charge, I don't need your email address or anything else, here's the book. And if you want, you can also give me some money for this book. That is similar to this, of people then saying, no, I want you to understand, I really appreciate this book. I didn't just take it because it was free. It's valuable to me. And by the way, afterwards, after they've read the book and probably been impacted by the book positively in some way, it's the ability for them to express themselves after they've read the book, arguably, that becomes the bigger opportunity for people to really say, no, I thought that book was worth $10. I was wrong. That book's worth $1,000.
Interesting.
And that's the stuff you start to see happen out there. There's actually a wonderful documentary. Wonderful might be the wrong word for it because it's a little bit dystopian. A powerful documentary called The People's Republic of Desire. You can find it on Amazon or Netflix. And it talks about streaming, personal streaming in China, I think like 6 years back. It's gotten even sort of more powerful. And a lot of this, people tipping, people expressing themselves using money, again, not necessarily as a tip, but more just as a form of, I need you to hear me. I need you, the creator, to hear me. I need you, the community of other fans of the creator, to hear me. And using money to get past the noise of just everyone typing stuff becomes one way to do it. There are obviously lots of philosophical questions that come with, well, is that a good thing or not? Meaning, shouldn't people that don't have the money have the capability to do what they should? I'm sort of describing the behavior that exists now.
I was going to ask you whether the slowdown in Clubhouse downloads may have an effect on Koji, but it sounds like it's much bigger than that. So instead, I'm going to ask you, what is your ultimate vision for this new version of the creator economy? Like, where do you think where are we headed?
Great question. So I've spent a bunch of time in what used to be called online communities, then became called social networking, right? I've been working in this space for 20 years. And in 1999, I ran product at a thing called collegeclub.com. It was an online community of college students, 4 million members, that were doing similar things to what we do now in social media, profiles, messaging, all that stuff. That was in 1999. And over the years, there have been sort of lots of experiments that we've all as a society sort of played around. in. And what is clear now is that things have sort of become steady state. Launching brand new networks and growing them is getting harder and harder. Why? Because there isn't the need for more ways for us to be connected with each other. Yet another social graph where I've got a profile on Instagram and Snapchat and Facebook and TikTok, and like, we don't need more of those. The fragmentation's already sort of immense. What is clear now is that we love social media, and it's a generational thing. You know, kids graduating high school, the number one answer of what they want to be for years now has been a YouTuber. And if you take into account blogger and Instagram, so over 50% of kids surveyed say they want to be social media creators. It's a generational thing. And so what that generation needs is the next generation of capabilities to engage each other digitally. And those don't belong inside of these fragmented social networks. They belong above them in the canonical one you. This is the digital you. And that digital you needs ever-growing list of capabilities of what you can do on DmitryShapiro.com points to Koji.2/Dmitry, to the canonical personal homepage, if you will, like we used to call them back in the day, right? And so we see incredible innovation on that front, how we, the canonical us, can be engaging with everyone else, with countless new capabilities, monetization, making a living doing it, changing the world if that's what we're trying to do, having that power in a network that we own. Because, for example, one of our other most popular Kojis is a Koji allows you to collect email addresses and phone numbers from people who come to your profile, meaning your own network. Today, we are all at the mercy of algorithms, of ranking algorithms, of will our post get delivered to our followers? Not necessarily. And at any moment that can change and sort of radically impact your reach and your followers' ability to hear your message. When you own the network on your own link in bio and email addresses and phone numbers, there are no algorithms to interfere. It's just a relationship between you and everyone that cares to have a relationship with you, unbiased by any network. You still participate in these other networks, but the most important network is the you network. And so it becomes basically sort of decentralized social networking, I think, where people have talked about before, but without all these sort of weird peer-to-peer stuff and all that stuff that used to come out. It's the future of social.
Wow.
I'm certain of that.
Huh. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you talking about all this. This has been great.
Yeah, thanks. It's been a lot of fun.